Hey everyone, garbaj here. So in gaming, there are two different types of games, right? Single player and multiplayer games, right? With single player focusing on story and mechanics, while multiplayer games are all about the social aspect of gaming, whether it's co-op or PvP or a mix of both. That interaction with other players is the core gameplay loop for multiplayer games. Now, single player games are awesome as well, but especially if you're already kind of isolated in real life, they can feel very lonely to play. Just by nature of being single player, where all the content is meant to be experienced alone, right? You have all this cool gameplay, but no one to share it with. So, what do you do if you prefer playing single player games, but don't like that feeling of playing alone? What options do you even have? Well, with the announcement of Death Stranding 2, I decided to do another playthrough of Death Stranding just to get myself reacquainted with the story and the characters and the mechanics. And what I've really been appreciating this time around, that I didn't think too much about in my first playthrough, is how the game manages to include little multiplayer social aspects to the core game loop to keep you feeling connected with other people without ruining the very single player nature of the game. So, for those that don't know, and I'll try to explain without spoiling anything, Death Stranding is a single player game and it's meant to be played alone. But it does connect to the internet, and the reason for that is so you can interact with other players in a very indirect way, right? You never actually see or hear from other players while you're playing, but kind of like Elden Ring, where players can leave messages on the ground that other people can see, in Death Stranding, you can see the evidence of other players' actions throughout the game world. Right? For example, if you put down a ladder to make crossing a river easier, there's a chance that ladder will appear in someone else's game session, which they can use and get across the river as well. And if they found that ladder especially helpful, they can leave you a like to tell you that they appreciated the ladder, and you can see how many of these likes that ladder has accumulated throughout your playthrough, right? You can leave helpful signs marking dangerous areas. Like you can even complete tasks for other people if for whatever reason they're unable to complete it themselves. And this feature, which fits perfectly with the overall theme of the game, by the way, does two really great things, right? Number one, it makes you feel like you're not playing alone, right? There are times when the game can get very dark and stressful, but seeing that someone had been generous enough to leave a ladder or a climbing anchor to help you get through a difficult spot is truly one of the most heartwarming things you will ever feel in a video game. Like, you have to experience it to understand. There is nothing else quite like it. Number two, as a result of this, you also feel encouraged to be as helpful to others as you possibly can. Right? You can play through the game without any help, and you can choose to leave nothing behind for others if you want. But seeing how other players go out of their way to make your life just a little bit easier really makes you want to return the favor, because you know how difficult it is to get through certain parts of the game on your own. And you start to think about how you can use your resources in a way that helps the most people possible, right? You don't get any reward for doing it. The likes are nice, but they're ultimately useless. And so everything that you do for others in the game, you do because you just want to help other people. And even though I didn't really think much about it in my first playthrough, I realize now that this social aspect of helping each other out is the true reason why Death Stranding is one of my favorite games of all time. The story is interesting, the gameplay is fun, and the graphics look really nice. But without the other people experiencing the game alongside you, I feel like the game just wouldn't be all that memorable. And this isn't unique to Death Stranding. A lot of people talk about how other games like single player Minecraft just don't hit in the same way that playing on a server with your friends does. All right, what's the point of having an entire Minecraft world to yourself, spending months gathering resources and building houses when there's no one there to share them with? It's all just empty buildings and AI mobs. I mean, personally, I love playing single player Minecraft, but there's something truly special about being in a world that is actively being shaped by real people, right? Even if the friend group is too busy to talk much anymore, or even if someone from the server passes away, right? The buildings they leave behind and the messages they write on signs, like the funny pranks and traps they leave for others, are still there as proof that they once existed. And it's so cool that online multiplayer has enabled that to happen, even in single player games. That's why I've been looking for more games like Death Stranding, where multiplayer isn't the main focus of the game, but is there as a supplement so that other people can have a positive influence on your gameplay experience without being overly disrupted to the core mechanics. Needless to say, I'm very excited for Death Stranding 2. So yeah, thanks for watching.